Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest developments happening right now in tech, politics, and global business, the ongoing US-China negotiations over TikTok. Yeah, the same app you probably opened this morning to check trends or scroll through memes is now the center of a major international showdown. TikTok isn't just a social media platform anymore. It has become a geopolitical flashpoint. And what's happening behind the scenes could reshape how technology companies operate across borders for years to come. So, what's the deal? For years, US lawmakers have accused TikTok of being a national security threat. That's because its parent company, ByteDance, is based in China, and under Chinese law, companies can be required to share data with the government if requested. Even though ByteDance has denied sharing any US user data with the Chinese government and says it never would, the fear has never really gone away. In fact, concern has only grown, especially as TikTok's influence has expanded across the US. Back in 2020, during the Trump administration, there was already an attempt to force TikTok to sell off its US operations to an American company. That effort fizzled out, but fast forward to today, in 2025, and the pressure is back on. And this time, the talks are serious. Right now, the US and China have reportedly agreed on commercial terms for a deal that would change the way TikTok operates in the United States. According to early reports, ByteDance has agreed in principle to spin off or restructure TikTok's US business into a new, independent entity, one that is fully controlled by Americans, based in the US, and operates under US regulations. This agreement was reportedly reached during negotiations in Madrid, where US and Chinese officials met to resolve several ongoing trade disputes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that the two private parties, ByteDance and the US-based buyers, had agreed on commercial terms. However, the full details haven't been made public yet. President Trump and President Xi Jinping are expected to meet soon, and many believe that TikTok will be on the official agenda. If finalized, this new entity would manage all American user data, take over control of the recommendation algorithm for US users, and be responsible for compliance with American privacy and security laws. In other words, this wouldn't be a symbolic gesture. This would be a real shift in control. Under US law, specifically the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act, or PAFACA, ByteDance was given a legal ultimatum: divest or face a ban. The deal is meant to meet those legal requirements. But even though the framework looks promising, there are still some major challenges ahead. One of the most difficult issues is the algorithm, the very heart of TikTok. That's the code that determines what shows up on your For You page, and it's incredibly valuable. ByteDance has made it clear in the past that they are not willing to hand over the source code. China also has strict export controls that classify advanced recommendation algorithms and AI models as restricted technology. So even if ByteDance wanted to hand over the code, Chinese law might not allow it. Some reports suggest that the US entity could operate using a clone or derivative version of the algorithm, something developed in the US with ByteDance's help, but housed entirely on American infrastructure. That would allow the company to preserve its core intellectual property while satisfying US concerns about foreign influence. But it's still not clear whether China will approve that setup, or if US lawmakers will think it goes far enough. There's also the question of how much ownership ByteDance will retain. While it's been confirmed that ByteDance will reduce its stake, we don't know by how much. Will they still have board representation, veto power, access to revenue? These details matter, especially to lawmakers who fear even the perception of Chinese control. And then there's the legal and technical challenge of actually transferring this massive platform to a new owner without disrupting service. TikTok has more than 150 million US users. That's nearly half the country. That includes not just casual users, but tens of thousands of full-time creators, influencers, and small business owners who rely on the app to make a living. According to a 2024 report, TikTok contributed over $24 billion to the U.S. economy through advertising, brand partnerships, creator earnings, and e-commerce sales. Around 7 million U.S. businesses have active TikTok accounts, and many report that the platform delivers a better return on ad spend than Instagram or Facebook. So if TikTok were to suddenly disappear, the ripple effects wouldn't just be cultural, they'd be financial. And even if everything is done correctly, there's still the trust issue. How will Americans know that the platform is truly secure? Will there be independent audits, congressional oversight, regular transparency reports? These are the kinds of safeguards that will likely be demanded before the deal is finalized. Let's not forget the politics. With a presidential election just around the corner, every move on this deal is going to be scrutinized. Some lawmakers have already said the deal doesn't go far enough. Others argue it's a political stunt. On the Chinese side, this is a matter of pride. TikTok is one of the most successful global tech companies ever to come out of China. For the Chinese government, watching it be forced into foreign hands could be seen as a humiliation, unless they can frame it as a diplomatic win through negotiations. Meanwhile, public opinion in the U.S. remains divided. A Pew Research Center poll from earlier this year found that 58% of Americans support restricting foreign-owned apps that collect large amounts of user data, but only 32% actually support a full TikTok ban. That gap shows just how complicated this issue is. People want privacy, but they also love their For You page. So what does all of this mean for you? If you're a TikTok user, creator, or advertiser in the US, the good news is that the app likely isn't going anywhere, at least not right away. The deal, if finalized, would mean that TikTok avoids a full ban, and most of the user experience would remain the same on the surface. But under the hood, major changes could be coming. We might see stricter data privacy options, more transparency around the algorithm, new rules about what content gets promoted, and possibly more influence from US regulators and watchdogs. And even if this deal goes through, the implications go far beyond TikTok. This is setting a precedent. Other foreign-owned apps and platforms, especially those with Chinese or Russian ownership, may now face similar scrutiny. We could be entering a new era of digital sovereignty, where countries demand local control over the platforms used by their citizens. That means we could see more national firewalls, stricter data localization laws, and global tech companies being forced to choose sides between major markets. This deal could also shape the future of US-China relations, especially in tech and trade. If both sides can cooperate and reach a stable agreement, it could open the door for progress on other stalled issues like tariffs, supply chains, and export bans. But if the deal falls apart or is blocked politically, it could escalate tensions and lead to retaliation against American firms in China. At the end of the day, TikTok is more than just an app. It's a global cultural engine, a data goldmine, and a symbol of the digital age. And the fight over who controls it is really a fight over the future of the internet. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments. Do you trust TikTok with your data? Do you think the US should force a sale? And how do you think this will affect other global platforms like Instagram, YouTube, or even WeChat? I'll see you in the next one.